Hey, Bison Band, welcome to the Chrome Lab Composition Harmony Assignment. We're going to be creating a song over the course of a couple weeks here, step by step, and we're going to be starting with the harmony. So we are going to become composers, and I'm going to take you through a process that many composers use as they're creating their music. You know, most composers don't just sit down and create everything all at once. It really is a process of building it step by step to create a song that they're happy with and they want to share. So we're going to follow the same process here. And I've created a Google Doc. I'm going to want you to have this open. I am going to want you to have open your Chrome Lab Song Maker, which I'm going to have start from scratch over here. You are going to want to have open your Chrome Lab Song Maker links, which is where we're going to save our link at the end of this process. Now, going back to my Chrome Lab Song Maker, there's a couple things that I'm going to set right away with this. And I go to my settings to do that. I have to change the length. We're going to, I know it's going to seem long here. We're going to make this 16 bars, which is the same thing as 16 measures. However, we're going to be breaking this up, so it will not seem that much longer, and it will be easy to put together here. We're going to have 4 beats per bar. We're going to split our beats into 2. We'll keep those the same. Scale will be major. Start on middle C. That will be the same. We need 3 octaves for this project. We're going to be using the middle octave for our harmony. So we're going to be using the middle of our graph here. So 3 octaves and 16 bars in length for our songs. And I'm going to press the blue check mark. So I'm also going to, because I just happen to enjoy the way piano sounds for this section of it, I'm going to select piano as my instrument just by clicking my little instrument selection down here. You can pick what instrument you'd like to listen to for this. I recommend piano. You will be able to change this as it goes. So the instrument's going to be up to you. Okay, now going back to my assignment Google Doc. What are we going to produce with this assignment? A 16 measure long harmony part that we will use to build on to create a full song in future assignments. We're going to have a link for this 16 measure long harmony that we're going to save on my Chrome Lab Song Maker links Google Doc, and we're going to be submitting this to Google Classroom for this assignment so that I can view it. And the process to do that is here in the how to submit your product. I gave you step-by-step instructions. What will we learn in this assignment? So we're going to learn how to identify and create some different chords in our Chrome Lab Song Maker that we can use for our harmony. We're going to be learning about form in music, or the way that we organize our chords. Music has many different ways that we can do that. There are some ones that composers use very commonly, and I will share some of those with you that you could use for your song. We're going to learn about the role that harmony plays in a piece of music. It's really the structure that holds everything together, and it gives us an idea of what other notes we can and should be using to achieve the effects that we want as a composer. And learning about some of the basic chord rules, or which chord should we be using at the end of our song, which chords sound best when we put them next to each other. There really are some things that we've learned about music. By we, I mean all musicians and composers, that we can use to our advantage. Now, what is a chord? Let's define that. A chord is a collection of at least 3 different notes that when you pair them together create a specific sound. Now, different note pairings create different sounds, and over time, composers have learned to pair these notes to get certain effects or make their audiences feel a certain way. We're going to do that with this assignment too. And I'm going to introduce you to some common chords that we use for this purpose. I underlined, you will have quite a bit of freedom in how you arrange your chords, but for this assignment, we are only going to be using the specific chords that I am demonstrating. So again, only the chords I'm demonstrating. You have plenty of choice and options here using those. Now, how many chords are we going to use? I'm asking us to stick to no more than 3 or 4 chords from the list below for our entire 16 measure composition. It doesn't seem like a lot of chords, but it is. A lot of the music that we listen to is based on this. It's 3 or 4 chords. You can do a lot. You can make a really complex piece of music with just a handful of chords. And we're going to learn how to do that. And that's going to help make our form easier to put together. Now, how do I choose what chords? And I put a menu below, but here's some guidelines. Number 1, you must choose a 1 chord. It is the foundation. We'll explain what these chords are in a moment. It's the foundation of your song. You must use it. It is the most important, powerful chord in your song or in our harmony. You are also going to need to use a 5 chord. It is the second most powerful of all the chords. It's very important to have that. Then you can choose up to 2 other chords from the list from the optional chords. And I also have this other chord on here that you could use as a substitute 5 chord. So there's one little add-on extra option, and I will probably demonstrate that one in my song so that you can hear both of them. Now, so again, here's our menu, and I took screenshots of these in your Chrome Lab Song Maker to show you what they look like. Now, the number of the chord, 1 chord, 5 chord, 4 chord, 6 chord, 2 chord, the number of the chord is the scale note that it begins on. And the first note of the scale in here is the red note or the bottom note of the octave. So in our 1 chord, it's built on the red note, which is the first note, the yellow note, and the green note. Notice there is a gap between each one. So it is built on the 1st, 3rd, and 5th note of your scale. Now a 5 chord would start on the 5th note, which is a dark green, and pink, which is the 7th note, and then orange, which is the 2nd note. And it's okay that that 2nd note is written down below. We need to create it that way to fit in our Chrome Lab Song Maker. And again, 4 chord starts on the 4th note, which would be light green, blue, which would be our 6th note, and red, which will be our 1st note, which again would be normally above, but it's okay to stack it differently to make it work. So our optional chords, 4 chord, 6 chord, and 2 chord. And then our 5/7 chord down here is interchangeable with our 5 chord. The difference is because we add this 4th note, this light green bar, it's going to have a little bit more dissonance. It's going to clash a little bit more. And that's actually a good thing, believe it or not. And I'm gonna use this one in here. You can use this one in place of a 4th chord in your song. I will demonstrate both. My other chords, here's what I'm gonna pick. Your choices are up to you. I'm going to pick a 1 chord and a 5 chord because those are the 2 I have to. I'm going to pick a 4 chord and a 6 chord as my optional chords. And then I will experiment with the 5/7 just so you can hear that. Now, I've picked my chords from the menu. Now let's talk about how we organize those chords. Harmony gives us structure to our songs, and it tells us what other notes are going to work well other places. So really, harmony's job is supporting everything else. So when you're playing the harmony part, you are in a supporting role. So I am building my support structure with this. Now, I set our form up by 4 measure sections, and we're going to call these 4 measure sections phrases. So when we divide our song up into just 4 parts, it doesn't seem like it's so long anymore. 16 measures doesn't seem as long, and now it's only 4 sections of 4 measures each. Now, in music, repetition can be a good thing, and it's very commonly used. We as audiences enjoy hearing it, so composers like to use it for that reason. So down here, you're going to notice same, which is something that is exactly the same. If 2 phrases are identical in every way, they are the same. If at least 2 of the 4 components, melody, harmony, bass, and rhythm, are the same, we would consider that to be similar. If 1 or 0 of the components of this phrase match, we would call that different. A lot of times for different, the only thing that might be the same might be the rhythm or the drum part. Everything else is going to be different. Now, for this, if something is similar, typically the difference is going to come in the melody part, which we're not adding this week. That's going to come later. Instead, what we're going to be adding in is the same harmony for today. And then later on, we can add those differences in. Now, I list some different forms here. We call AABA form, which would be same, same, different, same. Or A similar, BA. A lot like one, but we're going to add a little bit of something different in our second phrase. I'm actually going to use this one. Same, similar, different, same. I like this one. I'm going to use this so I can show you, if you pick one that is similar, that you can use that. Now, I suggest 5 of them here. I give you the 6th option. I know some of you guys really want to do something that is all your own here. Talk to me if you're going to do this. Like raise your hand. I'll come over and chat with you. Generally speaking, these 5 will work well. They are tried and true. If you are absolutely set on doing your own thing, chat with me so that we can make sure that as you're getting set up, that you have a structure for your harmony that will work well. Now, I give you some suggestions here for things that work well with our chords. Number 1 is to include a 1 chord in almost every phrase. Almost. Doesn't have to be every phrase. Almost every phrase will sound great. The 1 chord sounds great after a 5 chord or a 5/7 chord. And especially, I put a little note below that. This works well at the end of your song. I recommend you end your song this way. Number 3, I put a 2 chord, sounds great, followed by a 5 chord. It sure does. 6 chords like to be followed by 2 chords or 4 chords. And it is okay to use a 1 chord more than the others. In fact, I would encourage you to do that. I will be doing that today. It is the most powerful chord. It is the chord that your song is based on as a foundation. You should use it a lot. Action steps. I already set up my Chrome Lab Song Maker at the beginning, but again, I'm going to make 16 measures long. I'm going to increase it to 3 octaves and then press the blue check mark and adjust your instrument if you want to. The rest of this, I'm going to switch over to Chrome Lab to demonstrate. Now, as we're putting in our songs, we're going to want to listen because, again, I picked a form, I picked chords, but if as I'm listening to this, it doesn't fit my ear, if it's not something that I'm excited about, I can make changes, and it's okay for you to do that too. I'm going to go ahead and start putting in my chords. I said that it's okay to use your 1 chord a lot, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to start with a 1 chord. And I just draw these straight across. I'm going to ask you to draw your chords exactly the same way I am. In the future, not today, we're going to return to this and offer some different options for patterns for your harmony. But I just want exactly the way you're seeing here with lines drawn straight across for each measure. Now you can see the difference between the measures. The columns are lighter and then darker blue and then lighter blue and then darker blue. So you can see 4 measures on my screen. Now going back here, let's check my 4 chord. Because I said I was going to use that today. I think I want to use that next. So I've got red, light green, blue. Red, light green, blue. And then I want to use my 5 chord next. I said I was going to use that because it's one of the ones I need to use. So let's go ahead and use it. Make sure it shows up here. And I'm going to put in my 5th note, my 7th note, and my 2nd note. And then, you know what? One of the most popular and common chord arrangements, or we call chord progressions, is 1 chord, 4 chord, 5 chord, followed by 1 chord. And here's why. Let me play this for you. Let's listen to this first and hear what this sounds like. Now, our ear, the reason that this works, and I'm going to put a 1 chord after this, the reason that this is going to work is because after we hear the sound of this 5 chord, our ear is automatically wanting to hear something after it. And what it wants to hear very strongly is the one chord. And it actually makes us happy as an audience to hear that. So I'm going to play this for you again and kind of think about what your ear is saying. Hey, I think this would sound good next. And then our ear wants to hear this next. I'm putting in a one chord, red, yellow, green. It's the same chord that we started with. It's okay to use it more often than the other ones, as we said before. Let's give this a listen and see if your ear expects to go to this. And then when you hear it, you're like, oh, I knew that was going to happen. Yes, my ear is happy that it heard that 5 followed by 1. Now, I said that in my form, I'm going to use A similar, B, A. So my next phrase, which I scroll over here, is going to be similar. I'm going to make that difference be in the melody. And I'm going to keep the structure the same for my harmony. I think that's what I'd like to do. So for my A similar, I'm going to draw a 1 chord. And then I'm going to draw in my 4 chord, starting it the same way. And then I need a 5 chord right here, dark green, pink, orange. And then my first phrase ended with a 1 chord again. By the way, this 1, 4, 5, 1 arrangement, this is one of the most common in all of music, pop, rock, almost anything that we listen to on the radio is very, 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 very based on this. There are many, 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 many songs that use this progression very commonly. Let's give a listen to this. And it's okay to have those 2 chords next to each other. The 1 chords are just fine to have repeated. Ooh, and now we're at the point where we get to do something different. This is my phrase that is called different. So let's do something different here. I have not used my 6th chord yet. Let's use it. So I'm going to start this on the 6th note. And then I'll check my menu here. And I need a 1. So I need a red and a yellow. Now, I think I'm going to do a 4 next. Let's try this. We're going to experiment with this a little bit. So I'm going to add in a 4, which you're going to notice has a lot of the same notes as my 6, believe it or not. And I'm going to add in another 4. I can repeat these. I can do the same chord 2 times in a row. And then I'm going to add a 5. And you notice that I'm not going to use a 1 in here. That's okay, because I'm using it a lot other places. And let's give this a listen. Let's see if we like this different phrase. Now that's cool, but I want to try something else. It's cool, but I want to try something else. So I'm going to scroll back over here, and I'm going to keep, I like this starting on a 6 chord. I like this going to a 4 chord. I think that sounds really neat. I want to take more time in the 5 chord. So I'm going to add another 5 chord here. And again, it's okay to have 2 of these in a row. But here's what I'm going to do to spice this up a little bit. I'm going to make this a 5-7. And I said here that we have this 4-note option here that I could use in place of a 5 chord. I can sub it out. And I'm going to do that here so you can hear it. And I'm going to put it next to a 5 chord so you can hear the extra crunch and dissonance of this when we play it. So now my different phrase is going to be a 6 chord, a 4 chord, a 5 chord, and then the extra crunchy 5/7 chord right here. Let's give this a listen. Ooh, I like that. I'm going to keep this. And it's okay for you to go back and try different chord order on here as you build your form and your structure. It's okay for you to keep trying things until you find one that you really enjoy. I happen to really enjoy that one. We're going to stick with it. For my last phrase, I don't have to rethink anything here because I said that it's going to be the same as my first phrase. So I can put in a 1 chord, red, yellow, dark green, a 4 chord, red, light green, blue, a 5 chord, orange, dark green, pink, and a 1 chord of red, yellow, and dark green. So I'm going to go ahead and add in my same here. 1 chord, a 4 chord, light green, blue, red, a 5 chord, dark green, pink, and orange, and then a 1 chord, red, yellow, green. And again, I'm just drawing lines straight across here, and let's give this a listen. I like it, and I'm going to stick with this. And what I've done creating this harmony is created the form and the structure that I can build on when we add a melody, when we add a bass line, and then when we add a rhythm or a drum part in future lessons that can create my own song. And again, when it's up to us playing the harmony, when we recognize that is what we're doing in a piece of music, not necessarily playing the theme that our audience identifies as the main idea, which is the melody, or the lowest notes we might identify as the bass, that we are playing a supporting role. And it's our job to make sure that we make those other elements stand out. And that's what we did today by creating this harmony. We created a space or a structure that everything else can be added on based on. So I'm going to go ahead and click Save down here. And I'm going to click Copy Link, Apple C or Command C. And I'm going to paste this link into here. And I'll say Harmony Assignment. And I'll give it today's date, which would be Monday, 2/16/21. And that way I have this link here for my own use to use again in the future. We will be using this exact same harmony to build on. So make sure you keep this. You're not starting over again. Then I would go to my Google Classroom and I would submit this link for the assignment. Make sure you hit the turn in button after you do that so that I have that to grade. And I'm looking forward to adding in our melody as our next step with you.